Hey guys, just wanted to make a little announcement before we get into the episode. TFOL Talk is going to be going on break from today, June 27th, 2023, until the fall. But don't worry, because I have a lot of exciting guests lined up for when we return. Anyways, that's all. Thank you for listening, and enjoy the show.
And it was also at the time I was going through those awkward years of middle school and high school. So there's all these amazing things that happened, but you just have to try. You have to take that first step. And honestly, that's what you gotta do if anyone's really nervous about it. You really just have to jump out there and be like, I gotta give it a chance. I gotta just try. Because if you don't, then you're never gonna know. And that's why I'm happy I did.
Hello everybody, and welcome to TFOL Talk, the podcast where we shine a light on awesome teen fans in the LEGO community doing amazing things, and maybe the occasional AFOL too. I'm Doodlebricks, aka Kavi, and today we're going to be hanging out with Jillian, otherwise known as Jillian vs. Reality. Hello! How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, I'm glad to have you here. So, let's just start off. First question. Who is Jillian versus Reality, and what do you do in the LEGO world?
Oh my goodness, that's such a big question. Who is Jillian versus reality? Well, Jillian versus reality, she is a mock builder, she is a content creator, she is an avid Lego fan, an avid Lego spender. She probably spends way too much and more than she definitely should on Lego, but she loves it. I also happen to be employed at a resale Lego store, so that has certainly impacted my Lego journey. Going from just being a casual fan to then making it part of my livelihood. And that's what definitely really helped bring on the extra wave of creativity that caused me to switch from my original account was just basically costumes, cosplay, filmography, and switch and bring out the Lego side. Because I was doing Lego far before Jillian versus reality was a thing. It definitely helped. I decided partway through as TikTok was happening, okay, let me bring Lego into the picture and see how that does. And it's been great ever since.
I see. Wow, okay. That's awesome. So, alright, I think we're going to get more into the stuff you mentioned there a bit later on. But that is all really, really cool. I guess let's go on next to how and when did you get into Lego?
Oh my goodness. I got into Lego very early on. I got into Lego first, as I was younger, playing with just the sets that my family had. It started out with just a box of bulk brick, and from there it was just building and getting to an age where I wanted to listen to the instructions. Because I'll admit, the first few sets, or at least what my parents say, the first few sets that I did have, I did not listen to the instructions whatsoever and just built freely. It was just mock building. So once I got to the age of, okay, I can actually follow with these instructions, I was starting to build from there. So I would say it started, oh gosh, it probably started back in when I was 7 or 8, really, really young.
Okay, I see. That's so cool that you just at the beginning just didn't want to follow the instructions. Just no,
Mm-mm.
I'm just gonna build my own thing.
I'm
Why'd
just
I follow the
build what I
instructions?
want.
Exactly. No, that's so cool. And I've seen a lot of things like that as well. I remember years back I saw this my mom showed me this Facebook post of this girl that got a Friends set, and she just immediately mixed it with her collection and made a Friends mech with a flamethrower thing. And it's just it's so cool when people do that, especially early on. I think it's a sign of a lot of creativity, right? It's why
Oh
would I
yeah.
just follow the instructions?
For sure, for sure. And that's one thing I do like about Lego is just the fact that once you're done building the set, either you could definitely keep it built or you can kind of break it down and rebuild it again, or you could implement different parts of it into different builds. I know I've definitely yanked a few things off a few sets I bought and threw them into a few other builds, for sure. And I'm sure younger Jillian was doing that as well. For some reason a Jedi was in the Lego city.
Exactly, right? It's just it's a whole the first word that popped into my mind was multiverse, But
Oh,
like
100%.
exactly, it's just like there's no limits. You mix and match everything, and once again, that is, I mean, I like everybody says this obviously, but that's just the great thing about Lego, right? It's just like a new toy every day, as the original slogan is.
Oh yeah, the Lego Multiverse is real. I believe in it wholeheartedly.
The Lego Multiverse. You're right. I mean, to be honest, I guess the Lego Movie was kind of like one of the first big multiverse movies, if you really
Oh,
think about it.
100%.
Like,
100%.
yeah, I never thought about it like that, but you just talking about that just made me realize it's like, damn, that thing like predates like what's it? No Way Home,
Multiverse of
Spider
Madness,
Verse, Multiverse of
Spider-Verse,
Madness,
yeah,
exactly. Just all of them. The Lego Movie is the OG
Multiverse.
multiverse movie. Exactly. That's awesome. How did you join the online Lego community, and more specifically, the Lego TikTok or Brick Talk community?
Ah, yes, good old Brick Talk. We go by many names: Brick Talk, Lego Talk. It's a whole like it's a family essentially,
There's a
and
dictionary for
it's
it.
funny because like we have our own language. I feel like all verses of TikTok kind of have their own language. Um, so I joined Lego TikTok. I want to say, well, I started out not with my own page. I started out making a page for the store I work for, Atlanta Brick Co. And I started making TikTok videos on there. And then I decided, wait, if I'm doing it for them, why not do it for me as well? Why not make my own videos both when I'm not working at and I'm just happen to be at the store or when I'm at home with my own collection? So I would say roughly, I think around 2019. I'm sure that I could go back and sticker that on some post, but I really started to post myself, like I previously said, it started with costumes and then it went all the way, it went into Lego and Lego Talk. So I joined it. There's like been these quote unquote waves of Lego TikTokers. And like you have your first wave, and then I think I sort of came in midway between the second and third. Feel like now we're in like the fourth or fifth. But I really joined because I had like a few people from the community had really reached out to me via my Instagram, being like, "Hey, are you the Atlanta Brick Talk girl?" And I'm like, "The Atlanta Brick Talk girl, that is a thing now. That is that is a name, and it's been given to me, and I'm going to take it and run with it."
I love that. It's
So
amazing.
I I really then took a lot of the ideas from what they were saying about moving it to my own account, and I decided to do that. And like I still post for the store on occasion. We just recently we've gotten so busy that it's hard to do both work and post TikToks. So obviously one's gonna be a bit more higher priority, which is just the working part. But we've been cranking out some videos every now and then. But I really joined myself with Jillian versus reality. I want to say like 2019, 2020, and it's kind of just been that ride ever since. I will admit, I was terrified going into it.
Really.
I was I was scared because I'm like, okay, I'm entering this new realm. There's these new people that I kind of know, I kind of don't know. I mean, I became mutuals with like Cool Guy Dom's a great example. Dom became a really good friend, and he kind of just really encouraged a lot of just yeah, just hop on like, and especially because like algorithm wise, there is a lot of male Lego content creators. You have your handful of women content creators. So I felt like that was something I definitely wanted to see more. And I'm like, well, if I can make it possible to have other people see it more, it could be a flip side again where they're going to be like, oh, let me try this. So it really came from definitely encouragement from other people, getting past that barrier of being scared. Um, I'll tell you, when we all first met really in person last year at Virginia, I was terrified because I got added to that pretty much like very close to the end, right before it happened. And I was like,
Really.
and I'm like, oh my, I got added into a group chat very like towards right before Virginia. And I was pretty much like, oh my gosh, I'm going to meet all these people that I kind of looked up to and that I had been wanting to work with, and I'm now like, oh, I'm gonna meet them. I'm about to we're all about to meet each other. So I feel like that really helped because there have been just a few interactions between everyone in person. We really all bonded online via social media, TikTok, sending each other videos, being like, let's collab on this video. Um, lots of dance collabs, and for the Lego community, that can be a hit or miss. We would do like
Oh
it would
man.
be like me, Maticus, Dom, a bunch of us. We'd do different dance ones, and everyone would hop in on it. And it's very funny to see people who prioritize Lego dance, because I will admit some of them really surprise you and are killer dancers. Other
That's
ones
cool.
you kind of Other ones you kind of look at it and you're like, okay, this is a new realm for all of us. I'm glad we're all looking like a fool together so we can laugh at it all at the same time.
Exactly. It's doing it together. That's the main fun of it all. Who cares if you look silly if you're doing it with other people?
Oh my gosh, I feel like everybody kind of has that connection to the song September. Um, like everyone sort of does that TikTok video to the song September on the 21st. But I've just really correlated it with the Lego Talk community of where
Really?
we all are like, we're gonna post one dance video a year. This is it. But it's there's been lots more dancing all throughout it, so it's funny that that's kind of because I when I first thought of TikTok, it was okay, people doing these dances and trends online. I didn't think
Yeah.
like so to tie it all back to just Brick Talk. It's amazing that this app that maybe wasn't made for this has now grown into it can cover so many different genres, and one of those just happens to be Lego. Really.
Exactly. No, that is very amazing, and that's cool that you point that out because you wouldn't normally think TikTok, Lego, like that wouldn't go together. Like before, when TikTok was musically, like I don't. If
Oh
you
my
said,
gosh,
yeah,
yeah.
what if you did like Lego content on musically, they'd be like, excuse me, what?
They be
How?
like, this is music and dancing. And I feel like that was the greatest blend that TikTok opened up. You could have so many different outlets for it and so many different genres that it could touch, from like book talk to cooking talk and now brick talk. You have your
Exactly.
whole, you have every single genre. So you're bound to find something. And I'm happy I found my people.
Definitely. No, that it's really amazing, and like how it just like you said fills so many like there's so many niches that can I guess be hosted on there. I don't know if that's the right way of saying
Oh,
it, but like they
100%.
can live on TikTok, and it's kind of cool how also the Lego community just kind of manages to like find its way into all these different like social medias across the internet. There's just like you can't go almost anywhere now without there being some type of Lego content on some platform.
Oh yeah, we are taking over, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Um, I'm sure if we were able to, we would regenerate MySpace just so we could cover all the realms. I'm
That
sure if someone pushed us enough that we were like, we cover every platform, we would bring back MySpace to cover. So that way we could say we have everything.
the Lego community will bring back Vine.
Oh my gosh. I I remember watching Lego Vines. I remember watching like I don't remember if there was
there,
like a niche group of Lego Vine creators.
there were
I
Lego
just remember,
Vines.
I just remember people making Vines with Lego in it. And to be fair, a majority of them were drop videos. So a majority of them were just
I
dropping Lego
see.
videos for a larger bit. But I feel
Yeah.
like definitely we've touched every realm of social media.
That is so cool. All right, let me take a second to process everything you just said because that was a lot of really cool stuff. Okay, so
Processing the idea that we could resurrect MySpace is a it's a pretty big
right,
thing to think about.
exactly. No, so I thought that you went to work at Atlanta Brick Co. after you started doing Lego content online, but you started at Atlanta Brick Co. before you started doing content online. Then, and that's pretty cool. I didn't realize that.
Oh, 100%. I think coming on this fall will be either very close to 5 or 6 years with the company that I've been a part of.
Wow.
I've been there for a long time and I love it. And it definitely meeting people there, they and being a part of their social media like crew, coming on a few of their podcasts, that definitely encouraged me because I had a very small platform, very, very small. I'm talking maybe 500 people for a bit. And definitely I was like, okay, well if I can share about the store on my platform, that gives the store a bump. And I'm always a team player, always let's do whatever we can to help each other. So started sharing a few videos and a few things like, hey, I'm on this podcast and hey, I'm this. And people started being like, no way, you work there. Are have you always been into Lego? Is this just a job to get you by? Is this like what's going on? And I'm like, no, it's always been there, but I've never really talked about it. Like, and that's interesting because I've talked to other people about this because I've attended things like Brick Fair and other Lego conventions before, and I always attended Brick Fair, Alabama, and but I never displayed. I always went on one of the visiting days, like Saturday or Sunday. So I never was a part of that. I always knew about AFOLs and TFOLs, but I never officially joined until really I started working at the store because it was more so I could see the community on a regular basis. And it was also at the time I was going through those awkward years of middle school and high school. So it was that, and then it was fully that method of just getting to college. So I really was like, okay, I'm not fully a part of this community, but I'm there in the shadows, very much in the shadows, like being like, I'm
Lurking.
lurking. I'm sure there's one or two photos someone's taken at like Brick Fair, Alabama, and I'm in the background somewhere. I'm like, where's Waldo? Like,
Like, oh my God, where's Jillian?
this is Jillian before she decided to fight reality. This is Jillian before
Exactly.
versus reality came into play.
Jillian accepting reality.
Jillian accepting reality. Oh my gosh. If I could go back in time and tell myself one thing and just I'd be shaking myself going, "Don't accept reality. You could fight
Don't
it.
do it.
Don't do it."
I
And of
see.
course the
Oh,
younger me'd be like, "Who is this crazy girl? Who what are you?
who is this person? Why are you shaking me? Why do you look kind of like me?
Why do you look kind of like me? I just want to go home." It's like I just
That's
want to
great
go home
though.
and build Lego and keep it a secret.
Exactly, right? No, but that's really cool that like through working at Atlanta Brick Co. and just going to these events more and all that you kind of like I guess am I right in saying like slowly kind of came out of your shell more when it comes to Lego and all that stuff and really just like got out there more with it.
Oh, 1,000%. Like I said earlier, I'd been mock building for years. And when I mean mock building, I mean getting bulk brick, building something, looking at it and going, "Hey mom, look what I did." And she's like, "That's nice, dear." And I'm like, "Okay." But it wasn't really until I started working at the store and Mark Erickson, I had been talking to him and he found out that I mock built and he's like, "Well, why haven't you displayed?" And I'm like, I'm nervous about that. I don't know. I've never shown really anybody outside of like my family or very close friends. And he's like, no, 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 you need to display. And it was Virginia that was the first Brick Fair Virginia last year was the first time I've ever displayed mocks.
Really?
And oh my gosh, I was terrified beforehand. And but it was so relieving when I did because I'm like, I could have been doing this for years. Like, I probably could have been doing that for about like 8 or something years beforehand. But I'm like, let's start now. Let's start. And honestly, that's what you got to do if anyone's really nervous about it. You really just have to jump out there and be like, I got to give it a chance. I got to just try. Because if you don't, then you're never going to know. And that's why I'm happy I did.
Absolutely no. That's really great. That's like a consistent piece like of knowledge that I always hear, which is just to push yourself to do it. Like don't like necessarily. I mean, yeah, like just get out there, get out of your comfort zone, and just push yourself because as long as you're not like jumping out of a plane without a parachute, like you're gonna be okay. And it's just like you really just experience things that like you never would have thought of if you don't do that.
Oh, 100%. And it's like, it kind of spins off a quote that I remember being told. I don't remember by who. I'm sure someone famous said it, but it's one thing that I've always passed on. It's there's two people in this world that you want to make proud, and that is 6-year-old you and 60-year-old you. You want 6-year-old you to be amazed at the things you're doing, and you want 60-year-old you to be proud of everything you've done. So
That's good.
I know, right? It
That's
hits
really good.
it hits really deep.
Damn.
And that's something that I've really looked at going forward, like throughout like my young adult years, is just I want to be able to look back and say, I may have not done the best job, but at least I did it. At least I'm not there sitting wondering what would have happened.
Exactly. You pushed yourself and you did it rather than not doing it and then going looking back later and being like, why didn't I do that?
Exactly. A
That's
100%. And you live and you learn from everything. Like some things won't do great. Like I remember when I first jumped into the Brick Talk community on my own, I people were like, it was odd because there were two parallels at first. At first, it was like on Atlanta Brickgo's page, it was like, this is doing great. I bring it to my page, people are like, who are you? Like, what are you talking about? The one comment I got quite a lot was, is this really your collection, or is this like your brother's collection or
Ugh.
your boyfriend's collection? And I'm like, this is why it's scary to show things, because you never know. And you really kind of have to, and I'm still working on it, working on not really listening to that. And more importantly, not listening or looking at the numbers. As long as you're doing something, as long as you're doing something for you, that's what matters. Because once you start doing it for someone else, you're no longer doing it for yourself.
Exactly. No, you gotta do things like you said for yourself, and because that way you're not gonna get necessarily burnt out in the same way. Because if you're just doing things for other people, you're not gonna be happy because you're not doing things that fulfill you. You're just trying to please other people, and that's not a, I guess, a good way to go into life, because then you just kind of become a people pleaser, and it's like you don't live for
Mhm.
yourself.
Oh, yeah. It's just, and I feel like wanting to jump on this Lego journey, it was something that I knew I wanted to do because I wanted more Lego friends. I wanted to join the community. And I was like, okay, I'm not doing this. And I had to like take a moment and be like, okay, I'm not doing this for that. I'm doing this for myself. I'm doing this to be able to say, I went out there and did this. I went out there and displayed. I went out there and like tried. And obviously you're not always going to get great reactions from, or I don't know the word, but great, like, I guess your result won't be always that great, but you learn from every result. And other results turn out fantastic, like going and displaying at Brick Fair, Virginia. I am now a part of this fantastic Brick Talk community. I am a part of this amazing group called the Salty Bros, who I love them all so much. They're so talented. I'm now a part of Peach Lug for my local state. There's all these amazing things that happened, but you just have to try. You have to take that first step.
Absolutely. No, I think that's really like solid insight there. That is really good. I was gonna say, going back a little bit, I love that like I see that you're like a closeted Lego fan before, and I love that thing you're just saying about like, building a mock and then just showing it to your mom, because like that's totally the thing I did before too. Like I have like had and still have like my main Lego friend who we always talked about stuff together, but like besides that, I just like show my mom the things I built and just like talk to her about that stuff. And like she's really supportive, but of course she doesn't really get it totally. But like I totally relate to that, and it's just really funny to me.
Oh, so to further on that, to see my parents' reaction to this Lego journey
Mm.
has been one of the most fulfilling things about it. Because sure, my parents remember, okay, we're going to get her this set, we're going to get her that set. She's going to build it, she's going to build this other weird looking giraffe thing from those parts, and that'll be it. Hopefully, this will bring her some form of joy. But what they didn't realize is how it would bring a community. And more recently, at Atlanta BrickCon, they got to experience a Lego convention for the first time, because I would always go with other friends that I knew, other family members, like go with the cousins or something like that to like Alabama. So they got to experience Atlanta BrickCon, and to say they were shocked is an understatement. Um, my parents were amazed at how much science and math and creative engineering and all these amazing aspects went into this, but then they were shocked that they would see behind the tables all the communities talking together. You would see the Great Ball Construction crew all talking, Peach Lug all talking. Then they found me with one group, and then they'd see me running over to another group. And they were shocked about that. And then I had told my mom, hey, a few people may come over after the convention. It they may come over, we may hang out, we may do a parts draft. And she was like, what is a parts draft? And I had about maybe, I want to say 18, 16, 18 AFOLs at my house, all like the house that my childhood house where I grew up building Lego, thinking I would not find a community that would be surrounding this. We were all in our living room parting out like 4 or 5 sets, taking over all the bowls we had in the kitchen to part things out. My mom was watching with like amazement. She just sat at the table and watched because she was shocked about how big and what we all did. She's like, and I love her. At one point she came over to me and she was like, "So was this a lug?" And I'm like, a what? She was like, a lug. And I'm like, do you mean a lug? And she was like, yes, a lug. And I was like, yes, Mom, this is a lug. This is like sort of what a lug is like, but not really. And she was like, oh, okay, gotcha. And I also love that at once, and you said I'm allowed to say a curse word or two. Like this,
Totally.
she overheard me calling someone an a-hole, and she rushes up to me and she goes, Jillian, you can't call people an a-hole. And I'm like,
Oh,
and I
oh,
busted out laughing because she's like,
that's-
man, and I'm like, what? What did I just, that's what we call each other. And she's like, of course, at that moment, she's probably thinking, they call each other assholes for
oh,
fun?
that's
And
great.
I'm like, no, Mom, adult fans of Lego, AFOLs. And she's like, that's confusing.
That is.
But
Oh my god.
for her to see the community that's grown and to see like how like just like we're all from so many parts of the world. Like I had my really good friend Noah H2 Bricks. He was helping host the draft. He's all the way in Germany. She remembers me talking about my friend Ben. Ben is in Australia. My friend Daisy is currently over in Germany, and my friend Matt in Jersey, and Dom in PA. Like there are so many different like places we all are, and she's just amazed at the community that's not only like within our local state but just outside of the state. Her and my dad were like, okay, she's actually talking to real people, we don't have to be worried. And I'm like, we're fine, just remember, keep not looking at all the Lego charges to my debit card.
Don't think about the cost. Happiness is worth more.
Oh my gosh, like there's like the phrase like with cars, smiles per gallon, and I can take that for Lego and be like smiles per gallon of bricks that I buy. And I'm like
hmm
happiness per pab cup, and something like that.
Happiness per pad. That's great. Happiness per pab cup. We're gonna be
I'm
using
just
that
making
now.
shirts. We're just making shirt designs right now. We're just spitting off different shirt
Literally.
designs to
Right?
start.
Exactly. Everything we say here is copyrighted. Don't steal our ideas.
Yeah, this one's us.
Exactly. No, but that is so inspirational. Like I just love that so much, and that's such a testament to like I mean, one, if anybody listening, if you're afraid to put yourself out there with Lego stuff or anything else you're passionate about, Jillian is a perfect example of just how well that can go.
Hello.
But yeah, no,
But also
that is
like to the
just
parents, like to the parents of TFOLs out there. I know some
exactly.
parents are like, is this really like something I should be encouraging my child to do? I should be encouraging them to go out and get like a doctorate or do this. I'm like, the amount of engineering and arts and math and like that can go into Lego itself is outstanding. And it's definitely something I feel like parents could connect with their kids on. I have like I've met so many parents who are like engineers who come into Atlanta Brick Co. and they're like, I bonded with my kid because I found something that I do for work in what they're playing with. And I'm like, that's how you do it. It's a great way just to build connections with everybody around you, whether it's on this giant social media platform, whether it's you reaching out to me to do this podcast, whether it's parents connecting better with their kids and sort of getting an insight to what they do. Like, I know in our lug, we have a lot of parents in our lug, and their kids come to meetings, and their kids, even though you have to be like, I believe it's 18 to join, they're very much so, they have like their like own little group, and we know once they come of age, if they want to, they'll join our group. So that's incredible for me to see. It's just the family camaraderie that can come from Lego.
Exactly. That's why it's like so amazing, and it's something I say a lot is that Lego covers like so many bases, and it really once again it's as we know, but you know some people might not. It's so much more than a toy at this point. Like it's completely exceeded that where it's now an art form and kind of like just a community builder in a way. You can if pretty much anything that you enjoy, you can find a parallel to that in Lego.
Hmm.
Animation, art, engineering, math, whatever the hell it
We could
is.
go on for hours
We
about it.
could go on for hours about that, and like it's just the endless amount of things you can do, and it's not just what you can do, but what how it creates connections between people. And
Hmm.
I think I talked about this with Matt on his episode, which is how Lego is often like the thing that starts the friendship, but so much of the time the friendship goes beyond that afterwards. But it like brings people together, and that's just so amazing to see.
Oh my gosh, like that's exactly right. Like the friendships I've made because of Lego are like ones that I'm going to cherish for the longest time. Like we are celebrating major milestones with each other. I mean, I celebrated one of my friends, they just recently graduated, and I met them through the Lego community. The ELPN crew. Um, we just recently we got to celebrate. Zane announced Zane Block Studios, he's having a baby. And like
That's
it's
amazing.
amazing. We are seeing so many milestones that we now get to live out. Like we're going to like each other's weddings or hearing about each other's kids. We are like I think I remember like an example is like when Zane told us that he was getting ready, they have a baby on the way. Like we all were like, all right, who's gonna get up there first to be the first Brick Talk babysitter? Who's gonna be the first Brick Talk
Brick Talk
babysitter?
babysitter. I love
I
that.
listen, I'm determined to get that t-shirt. I'm determined to claim that role. Like
First ever
and
Brick Talk babysitter.
like babysitter, exactly. And we're it's not only that, we're there for each other for things outside of Lego. We're there for each other through the hardships we go through. It's not an easy world to navigate. Especially with our little niche, there's a lot of people who do look down on it. We're there to help each other through when some people just don't understand it. We are there for each other through so much. So the friendships that you gain from it mean so much more than just two people who like these little plastic ABS bricks. It's two people who are forming bonds and connections, and it's incredible. Much like any other thing, like a sport or a band, you can build so many great friendships from it. It's just sometimes
Absolutely.
people don't consider that when they're walking past the Lego aisle at Target, and they're like, oh, they probably don't even think there's a whole community surrounding that.
Yes, absolutely. It's really beautiful, and like that's one thing that I love because, on one hand, the Lego community is very not underground, and on the other hand, it is also very underground at the same time. Like once you know a little bit about it, it just kind of all comes out. But if you don't, like, it just you don't know it's there. And I always feel like it's like I don't know what the parallel is, but kind of like the I guess the platform 9 3/4 I think it is from Harry Potter, where
Yeah,
it's like once you
or
go through that wall, it's like oh my god, it's just what the hell, like
like the
everything.
rabbit hole from Alice in Wonderland. The world is so
Yes.
much bigger than what you think. Like you may think, oh yeah, just there's a Lego community. There is so much more than that. We would need books on books on books that we could write Harry Potter novels to just go to the
Literally.
lengths of what the community is. Like it's very much so. You have your Lego multiverse.
Exactly. It's a Lego multiverse. It's the real life Lego multiverse. And that's
That's
the
the
other thing.
caption of this video. Jillian versus Reality talks to Dinner Bricks about the Lego
The
multiverse
Lego multiverse. I am totally going to put that in the title now. That's amazing. But
across the
no,
Lego multiverse. In no
across the
way
Lego
correlated
verse.
with Sony. In no way correlated with Sony.
Exactly. No, I mean, that's perfect timing considering the movie comes out tomorrow. But
Mhm.
yeah, no, that's seriously though. But like, that is, it's so. Once again, I struggle to find the words to describe just how incredible it is. But also, like you were saying before, how your parents would see you like pop between different groups at like Atlanta BreakCon, I think it was, right? That's the other thing. Like the community for the most part is like so incredibly welcoming in all the different spaces. So you can have a bunch of different friends in all different areas of the Lego space and just everybody's very accepting and kind and loving and it's one of the most positive communities that I know of, honestly. Like if not the most.
Oh, extremely. And like they saw it a bit when I did when I and I still do cosplay and stuff like that. They saw it there. I think it's just their eyes were open to just how many communities can really be made. And
Yes.
Lego is one of them. Like they knew it was from costuming, they knew it from Star Wars, they knew it from comic books. They're now like, okay, it's literally anything and everything. There could be a community out there surrounding zucchinis, and Jillian could probably find a way to make friends in it.
Oh my god. That's probably a real thing. I gotta look this up afterwards, like Zucchini Con. Like, we'll see if that's a thing.
Zuc- like Farmer Con or something like that.
Farmer Con. Oh, like AgriCon? Oh my god, that's totally a thing.
AgriCon, yeah.
That is totally a thing. But yeah, no, I see.
If not,
That's
there's a market for that, and someone needs to jump on it.
there's a market for that. I'm sorry. Sorry. Anyways, that was a terrible joke. But no, absolutely. It's just it is so like mind-blowing. And I also love that your parents are so like supportive of it as well because I think a lot of people can struggle with that sometimes. And it's great to see just how amazed and supportive they are of it from what you've said.
Oh, and it's kind of the thing where maybe it didn't start out that way. Maybe they were just really confused. They were definitely like, "What do you mean you're shipping yourself off to Virginia for a week or Chicago for a week? What do you mean you're going to PA 3 times a year to see these friends you know from Lego? What?" Like, and it definitely I still get that side eye every single time I walk in with one Lego bag, then have to go back out to get the second Lego bag.
It just keeps going.
I still get that side eye, but I know deep down they know she's happy. She's found her people. That's what matters.
Exactly. That's the thing that matters very much at the end of the day, and that's it's just really beautiful, honestly. Okay, so what is kind of the more specific type of Lego content that you do on TikTok?
Ooh, I feel like that's the special thing about Jillian versus reality. There's no one specific thing that or genre that I'm in. Um, Brickin' Up Brad, he's known for Castle. You have like Swole Bricks, who is like kind of really Harry Potter. You have Holly on film. Or Swole Bricks is Star Wars. That was my bad. Let me try that again. You have Swole Bricks, who's really he has a lot of Star Wars content. You have Holly on film. She's in my opinion she's the queen of Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So Jillian versus reality, it really covers everything. I mean, I cover funny bit videos, reviews, Lego news. Um, I would say a priority of my collection is to have a bit from everything. I have a bit of Castle. I grew up with classic space, classic pirates, Space Force, Alien Conquest. I grew up with it all, Rock Raiders. So I have a bit of everything in my collection. But as far as the video goes, it's really hard because sometimes you want to grow your audience, but it's really easy to get sucked in only making a sort of one audience based content. And I felt myself leaning that way when it came to Star Wars at first because I have a big tie with Star Wars in my life. I'm a member of the 501st. It's easy for me to connect to Star Wars with my love for it, our family's love for it. But I was like, I really want to be able to reach other genres. I want to be able to talk to people who are like just like mock builders, people who like Marvel, people who like I'm a big Ninjago fan. I love
You
Lego.
are? Oh my god,
I
yes.
love Lego Ninjago. Dude, they just announced that the Fold is gonna be performing at Brickworld Chicago.
I'm so jealous.
I
I'm so jealous.
I will FaceTime you if you need me to, dude.
Oh my
Like
god, yes.
I when I saw that childhood Jillian's like, oh, I'm about to listen to it live, or I think that's what they're doing. But like I'm like, it's like I come from a big I literally remember running home every day from school, throwing my stuff to the ground, booking it to the TV to find out who the Green Ninja was.
Oh,
I
yes.
remember that was I remember doing that all through growing up. I grew up reading the Bionicle comics.
Oh,
I
that's so
I
cool.
literally I've touched every single realm of Lego, but it's really hard when you want to make content for especially I feel like a few of those genres don't really have its community yet on TikTok. Like you do have your Bionicle fans, you do have your classic Castle fans, but it is kind of harder to find. Like I'm sure it'd be kind of hard to find Fabuland fans, which I don't mind that there's a slight struggle. I will full-heartedly admit Fabuland kind of freaks me out.
We
I
gotta get Just Too Good on TikTok because he's like the Fabuland guy.
I recently just made the joke and we're now rolling with it and I'm now making a whole series about it. So not only this future series gonna be getting over my fear of Fabuland, but it's like Five Nights at Fabuland, the
Five Nights. I
darkness
love that.
behind Fabuland. And because they're creepy, dude, when you look at them, some of them are really creepy.
They are.
And when I look back at just the images from like newspaper clippings or magazine cutouts, I'm like, why does that one have a wagon and an axe?
Oh no.
As a child, you think, oh, they're just going to chop down some trees. And I'm like, mm-hmm, that's what they're doing.
Sure.
Nothing else. Let's start our crime scene investigation on
My
Fabuland.
God, I love that. That would be such a good parody though. Like Five Nights at Fabuland.
It's one thing that it's something I have in the works for
All
sure.
right. Cool.
For
That's
sure in the
amazing.
works, especially with the excitement of the new movie coming out. But it's
Right.
like finding like what Lego like genre or realm I sort of covers. I cover it all. I like a great example. I have all these brickheads behind me. I've got Grogu up there. I've got Guardians up there. I've got the Daily Bugle in a box over there. I've got like classic pirate ships and castles. It's everything. So I try to touch on everything, and that's something I know we really wanted to do at Atlanta Brick Co. We wanted to make sure our account would cover everything in the store. And that really helped me be like, okay, I want my personal Lego journey and Lego platform to be able to cover as much as I can. So I can meet as many friends as I can from so many different. I want to meet people from the friends community, from the system community, and it's really I just want to cover it all. I want
Yeah.
to I don't want to use the word conquer because I don't think I'm conquering anything, but I want to be able to befriend all the kingdoms of everything in the Lego community.
All of the multiverse. You want to befriend all of the Lego multiverse. Exactly. Now that's I completely get that honestly because I think like I feel that a lot as well with like of course there's like the main themes I enjoy which are things like Ninjago, Monkey Kid and just original themes
Mhm.
generally, but there's so many people doing such cool things in all different spaces of the Lego space. It's like why wouldn't I want to be friends with all these people doing all these amazing things? And I think that's cool that you're really focusing on like just doing a bunch of different things because that keeps it fresh for yourself if I'm not mistaken, right? Like I imagine that keeps things very
Mhm.
interesting and different, no?
Oh my gosh, it completely does. And I love learning about it. If there's one thing that I will admit to, and I feel like it's kind of hard for everyone to admit to this, whether it's just with everything in life. I am wrong at something. I will say some things that are not right. Like I will say there were this many color spacemen when it's like actually there were two different red ones or something like that. I love learning from other people and learning more facts. I enjoy when someone is like, you're right on the dot, but here's a little bit more of information. I love getting to learn so much more. I'm not
That's
someone
good.
who's like, I know everything on this one genre. Like, I don't know everything about Lego Star Wars. I don't know everything about Lego Ninjago. I don't know everything about Lego. And that's the great thing. I'm always learning about it. You can never not be learning. You're always going to be learning more about this, more about that. And I feel like that's what one part that I liked when it came to the idea of being able to cover as much ground as I could is I'm going to learn about as much ground as I can. And I will cram as much as I can in before I have to be like, okay, I need a break for a day.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think that's a really good mindset to have because once again, like you can always learn more about everything, even the thing that you are an absolute master in. Even the people who invented things like themselves, we've learned so much more now. Like you'd
Mhm,
think like even the creators of things have more things that they can learn about
mhm.
what they're doing. And it's great to keep an open mind to that because I think whenever people think they know everything about something and close themselves off to learning anything else, that's when they can get arrogant and that's not
Gatekeeping.
good.
Mhm. And that's something we definitely have to look out for. I feel like there's a lot of people who will just gatekeep in general. It can be difficult sometimes to want to walk into a community when you know there are very strong gatekeepers. I know plenty of people who want to get into the community, but they are afraid of being told, "Oh, well, you're wrong on this, and this, and this, and this." And it's awful that that is what is causing people to sort of push themselves away. So I'm definitely on the realm of you can always be learning more. You can
Yeah.
always be learning from each other. That's the thing.
Definitely, yeah. No, it's not good to gatekeep because that just like stops the community from growing and diversifying. Because like, imagine if people in the Lego community, like, I guess the majority started gatekeeping all the way back in, I don't know, like I guess when it started getting more popular, it's like 2012 ish, I guess, or 2014 when the,
Mhm.
or before 2014 when the Lego Movie came out. We wouldn't have half the people we have now because everyone would be scared and like wouldn't have all the
Mhm.
amazing people diversifying content, things like you and the rest of Brick Talk do and all that. Like, you know.
It's wild, and I'm glad that we're getting better at it, but it's one of those things that we will always need work on.
I think every community has
Oh,
gatekeepers, honestly. Like that's unavoidable. And I think also like I think even non-gatekeepers like myself will sometimes just have thoughts of like gatekeepy thoughts and be like, "Stop, that's stupid. Don't do that."
100%.
I sometimes have that with Ninjago, and then I'm like, "Stop it. That's stupid. Don't do that." But yeah, no, exactly. It's like just you gotta be open to like other people coming into it. I guess you know. So it's great when you can involve other people and things like that. I was gonna say, okay, I gotta go off on just a quick tangent with you for a second because I
Go for
didn't
it.
know that you were a Ninjago fan.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh my god. Okay, so for anybody who's listening, this is not gonna go out for a couple weeks, but like we are recording this on June 1st. And June 1st, for anyone who's an Ninjago fan, knows that June 1st is when the new series Dragon's Rising premieres on Netflix, which is kind of the soft reboot, but like it's a new series kind of thing. It's complicated. If you know, you know. If you
If
don't, you
you
can
know,
look it
you
up.
know.
What do you? I haven't watched it yet because I mean I'm in Europe and for some reason like even with my VPN on, I just Netflix doesn't have it yet. But
Oh no.
without, I don't know if you've seen it, but like, what's your general just thoughts on Dragons Rising from what we've seen so far, like the previews, and how do you feel about that?
Ooh, I am so I'm excited because it's more Ninjago. But B, I'm kind of excited for this new sort of story that they're going to be telling. I'm excited that they're touching a bit more on this new world, this kind of new dragon aspect. I am definitely going into it with an open mind. I will say that. I used to not do that for certain seasons, and I'd expect some things. We want to get some things would happen, and I'm like, why? So I'm definitely going into this one with an open mind. I'm going into it with a blank slate. All I know is that I am when the title came out and was released and I saw dragons. First off, that had me hooked. I am
Oh
a
yeah,
huge fan of just dragons in general. I am a major fan of the movie How to Train Your Dragon. So anytime when sort of dragon riders get brought into anything, I'm like, let's do this.
yeah,
So I mean, and for it to be more Ninjago, that's what makes me happy. Because the last time we really saw, like, we see dragons like almost very, very much reoccurring, but to sort of generalize a whole season around that, new characters, I'm excited. But like I said, open mind, optimistic, kind
yeah.
of. I'm not expecting anything. I'm not gonna like go in saying I need to see this, and this. I definitely think is an open-minded sort of walk into this new Ninjago journey, for sure.
I think that's really a good way to go into it because I think the super high expectations, like not that it's wrong to have high expectations, but I think if you hold on to them too much, it can kind of ruin things for you. And
Hmm.
I think that's kind of like the what was the joy of Ninjago before, and like with anything really that people enjoy like that, is that you didn't have expectations when you started watching. You just started watching and went from there. So I think that's a good way to go into it. For me personally, I'm excited. I've gone on an emotional roller coaster with it because I've been watching since like the beginning too. I guess
Hmm.
2012 is probably when I got into it, but like, it's emotional partially because it's like, oh wait, all the ninja aren't the main focus anymore. Like, what are you talking about? But there's a lot of things going on. But I am excited for it, and I think it's gonna be good. It looks like it's gonna be really exciting, and at least the ninja aren't gonna be like just side characters. Like they're gonna switch focuses, which is good. I'm glad. The only thing I hope, and I know it's not necessarily next gen ninja they're doing. It's just kind of like some Chinese because it's not like a whole new ninja team. The
Hmm.
one thing that I just don't want at all is a whole team of next generation ninja. I know a lot of people want that. For me personally, like, and I can see why people want that. For me personally, I have never been a fan of like next generation stories. I'm like, we're sticking with the ones that are there. I don't want to see the adventures of your kids. I just want to see you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I see that. Like, and I know for me, when it was like a whole, when you're bringing all of our favorite ninjas kind of to the background this time, it's kind of, it's heartbreaking because you're like, I grew up with them. I have watched them for this long. Does this mean I'm done? Is this like the final
Yeah.
point of where I'm kind of like, I'm never going to see them again? But it very much says I'm optimistic. I'm really interested to see where they're going to take the show, where they're going to go with it. I mean, last season of Ninjago, so many turns, so many moments of they did not. I don't know if we want to talk spoilers or anything like that, but like,
Okay, spoilers for Ninjago Crystallized coming up. There will be a timestamp on screen for when we stop talking about it. Let's go.
oh my gosh, when they brought back so many people, I was like, why are you doing this to me? And I think it was so we have like a little group at Atlanta Britco where each one of us kind of takes on a ninja. And I remember
Ah,
everyone we were all sending each other like photos of like because first we saw the set leaks and
right.
then I remember seeing a clip that got leaked and then I sent it and then when we all went to rewatch it it had been taken down. But I remember seeing for me the biggest turn in the moment where I kid you not I was on my college campus, I'm eating lunch, I see a box photo of Harumi, and I stand up. The table clutters, half the things fall off it, the chair's on its back, and I'm like, not this girl again. Not the not trauma on two legs. not personal trauma on two
Oh
legs,
man.
walking back into this story, ready to just. I'm like, what are you gonna do to me emotionally, Ninjago? What are you
Mm,
gonna do to me emotionally? Um, so like just seeing that, just seeing like how Ninjago's like anything can happen, anything
yeah.
can happen, and just like. And for my like in my opinion on Ninjago, I'm very much so like I have the opinion where my favorite season was Hands of Time.
Really? Oh my god, that is amazing.
I love that season. I Crux and Acronics in my entire line of just villains in general. Crux and Acronics, I pair them as one, but they are up there. They're seriously, I think
Yeah,
on my like possibly on like my top 10. I love their idea. I love their dynamic. I love the story of Hands of Time. I loved it.
that's
Um,
cool.
and that's always something whenever I say that, people are like, "What?" And I'm like, "What can I say? I liked it."
Exactly. No, that's cool. I don't know if I've ever heard an Ninjago fan say that the Hands of Time is their favorite season, but that might be a first. But that's cool. I'm curious. So, I mean, I have to admit that like Crux and Acronics, even though a lot of people don't like Hands of Time, they are popular characters despite that. That's for sure. I think people really like them.
Mhm.
But and also, I mean, hey, there's hints to them maybe resurfacing again. So we'll see about that. But
If they resurface, I will be thrilled. I want more Crux and Acronics. I kid you not, they are on my top 10 of my favorite minifig designs to ever come out.
they're pretty damn cool designs, that's for sure.
From the hoods to the gold detailing to just
Ugh.
every little detail they put into those minifigures, I loved them. I loved the time blades. I loved everything about them. I made it my goal to have at least copies of them. And I know
Do
that has
you?
definitely helped the Lego value go up a little bit.
Yeah.
They are up there.
They're very. I don't know. I found it so funny that they're so expensive, considering that most people hate the season. I'm like, how does that work? How?
I think
I
it's
don't know.
mostly because if you have them and you have them in the condition with both the hoods and the hair pieces and their time blades, the time blades are what can also, those things can run 24 bucks.
I have a time blade. Are you serious? That's pretty cool. I didn't know that. Huh. That's funny. I remember looking at the one set they came in when it was like it came out the Iron Doom, and I was like, that's a cool set. I should get that. I regret not getting that. It is painful, but
I will
yeah.
say one of the biggest flex, I don't have it up here because I have it in a like box that's safe, like one of those clear plastic protective
Ooh.
boxes. I'm not opening this thing. Worst comes to worst, become a it's gonna become like a down payment on a house. I have a lightning dragon.
Ooh, wait, like the original Jay's Lightning Dragon? Oh, that's so cool. I was looking at that one like a while ago and just like I'd love to. That one still holds up to this day. Like that is the best of the OG dragons in my opinion.
I have one sealed, and then I have one that I was able to piece together.
Oh my god, that's insane. How did you get the sealed one?
I got it. My mom got it when it came out.
And you never opened it?
Um, I don't know why. I think it maybe was we got it and then we like I set it somewhere and then we forgot it was there for the longest time. And I'm pretty sure it was something like that or something like along the lines of my backlog started to build up at the time. But
Wow.
I was able to piece it together through parts I got through buying bulk lots.
That's pretty
And
cool.
the only thing I had to really go and like really look for was like the head and but it was like really through bulk parts and then working at the store we'd have odd parts of it come in and I'd be like, I'm just gonna buy this really quick and they're like, what you doing, Jillian? I'm like, nothing.
That is a big upside at
Welcome to
working
How
at
to Build Your
Brick.
Dragon with me, Jillian versus Reality. How to build your
Exactly.
lightning dragon.
That is so cool, though. I love that. That is such a big flex. All right, I would love to talk with you about Ninjago for just hours, but we got some other questions we got to get
Yeah,
through. But
let's do
before
this
we
thing.
go on to them, I must ask one question. Who's your
Mhm.
favorite ninja?
Cole.
Okay.
Cole.
Okay. Cool. That's good. Mine's Jay, but that's
Nice.
cool.
Nice. I am a diehard Cole stan. I love Cole.
He's great. He's underappreciated, honestly.
Hmm.
Like, that's cool. I always liked Cole. He's a good character. I might literally like younger me. Like a big part of my personality is literally based off of Jay. Like that's Jay influenced who I am today. It's a little bit crazy when I think about it, but yeah. Anyways, okay. So you run a podcast that you started recently called the
Yes.
Basic Brick Podcast.
My
What
baby.
is the Basic Brick Podcast? What's it about? Tell us about
Oh my
that.
gosh. So, The Basic Brick is a podcast meant to reach out to the not so basic bricks of the LEGO community, the not so basic AFOLs. I want to start possibly doing TFOLs of the community and just talking about how something as basic as a brick had such an impact on our lives and how it continues to have such an impact on our lives, on just our values, on our bank accounts, how it has like built
Yep.
us kind of as a person. Um, it's my baby. It's been, it was almost a year in the works because I had
Really.
had the idea back last year at Virginia. I had thought, okay, maybe I'll do this with a co host. Never really found the right person. And it was again one of the situations of if I don't at least try, what am I gonna do? I can at least say I tried. So I remember I was already on the ELPN team at the time. And when ELPN was kind of made, we made it with the idea of like it's a the N stands for network. Um, so it could become an all over umbrella for if we ever wanted to add more shows. Now, whether or not that was definitely a hint, hint, nudge, nudge of Robin Zane encouraging me to continue the idea on my show, I don't know. We got through the first two seasons of ELPN, and that's when the gears really started to turn of I think it really came from the idea of I wanted to reach out to more people in the community. I wanted to help find a platform other than at this time their show was called ELPN. At then sending them over to Rob and Zane, I wanted to talk to them. So I was like, so once like we kind of wrapped up season three, I was like, I think it's time we turn this into a network. And they were like, well, what does that mean, Jillian? We would need more shows to make it a network. And I'm like, what if I brought on a show? And they were like, there was like a joke moment where I thought they were originally going to say no, to which I think I would have kind of been like, okay, that's fine. I get it. You want it to be your, they were like, of course it's a yes. So
Aw.
henceforth, my baby was born. We started drawing up designs, making concepts. I started looking into guests. I started looking into the days because the hard part about it is when you make a podcast, one thing I was really considering is if I do it live, what other podcasts go live those days?
Yeah.
I, I, I could not do it on Tuesdays because I did not want to interfere with stud buds. I couldn't really do it Thursdays because that's when we had ELPN. So it was finding like that perfect little day. So you had to find all the pieces. And once I kind of had all that together, literally all I had to do was, okay, now you have to push it together and push yourself to go do it. And I did. And now every Wednesday, I get to talk with members of the community. And it's a blast. I've had 3 episodes so far, and it's one of the most fulfilling things I think I've done, period. It,
Really.
it is so much fun to just be able to sit and talk to people, to engage with the community. And not only is it the fact that it's live, it's the fact that then that live becomes a recording on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts so that it can then be listened to whenever.
Yeah.
And I was nervous going into it. I'm not gonna lie. I was terrified. I'm like, what if legit nobody watches it? I'm like, you're never gonna know until you try. And it's been great. I see you in the comments always, and I
Yeah.
miss that so much. So thank you for watching and
Of
listening.
course.
It's it's a blast. It's definitely one of the most fulfilling things I've done so far in my content creator. I guess I could call myself that. My content creation journey in a way.
Absolutely. No, definitely content creation journey, I'd say. But that's so amazing to hear, and I'm glad like once again you feel so fulfilled by it because it's a big task to take on to do that. And especially cuz you do it live. This isn't live because that's stressful, but you know, a lot of shows including yours are live and a lot of respect for that because like that seems like it would be a bit nerve-wracking sometimes because you can't just edit things out, but
Mm-mm.
no, it's really like amazing, and I was so happy to see that you were starting that because I was like, yes, another Lego Show podcast.
More
We
podcasts.
need more of them, and like it's just like it's really well done, and it's fantastic to just see more people doing things like this in the community. And I agree that like what you said, it's so cool when you get to like, you know, sit down and just talk with other people in the Lego community because it's one thing when you're texting, but when you get to just sit down like we are here and just nerd out about Lego for ages, it's just like
Hmm.
the best thing.
Oh my gosh. And it's fulfilling because I get to reach out to the people who I would maybe only see at conventions. and those
Yeah.
happen like once a year. Um, so it's really fulfilling to be able to talk to them on a weekly basis, reach out to folks and be like, hey, want to come and chat? Want to come talk about Lego for an hour or two?
Exactly. No, it's so much fun, and it creates like, I guess, like deeper connections, right? Because once again, you're just sitting there and you're just talking face to screen to face to basically face to face, close
Hmm.
enough, right?
Hmm.
And you're seeing each other, and you're just getting to, I guess, connect on a deeper level than just watching people's videos and then just commenting on them or something. There's like another layer there, I guess, and it's lovely. Basically,
Hmm.
it's just really lovely.
It's just it's really satisfying to be able to know there's people out there who want to have these conversations, and
Yes,
also people who want to listen to them. That's the other thing.
exactly.
You got to thank the viewers. You got to thank them because they're the ones who are wanting to listen and engage with your conversations, whether it's after the recording, on the live. It all just they want to engage with you, and that's so fantastic and so great. And gosh, there's not enough good things you could say about it, really.
No, it's just it's such a fun experience, and it's cool that it can kind of, once again, like you said, people enjoy listening to your conversations. Like that's so cool that like people want to listen to our conversations. Like
Mhm.
what? Like that's just amazing. And about Lego as well. Like such a, yeah. It's just ah. Once again, I keep using the word amazing, but that's just really what it is. It just like, I guess it's reassuring as well, no?
Mhm.
Because you see there are people who care about this stuff and enjoy it and love to talk about it to as much length as you do, and it's just amazing.
It's just out of this world. It's one of those things that like I saw so many other podcasts out there, and talk shows. You have Old Gray Bricks, you have Stud Buds, you have all these other shows, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to try. Let's see how this goes. And it's amazing. I'm excited. I going into it, I've already deemed it season one because I really want to do more than I want to do
Yeah,
more seasons. I really want to do more of them. Um, so it's just really satisfying to think, okay, how am I going to go forward with this? Of course, as we get further down the line, you think about how is this going to implement going into this time, this da da. But I'm just enjoying it in the moment. I'm enjoying that
exactly.
every Wednesday. If there's not like a Wednesday where there's a break, um, I know that I get to go and talk to people about Lego. And that's another thing. I've been really appreciative of my parents' support because it is a time when because I'm home for the summer. And I'm kind of like, okay, around 8 o'clock ish, if things in the house could all be like put at this decimal volume wise, that'd be great. Thank you. Love you. Bye. And they're really supportive of it. So that's really reassuring.
That's good to hear. Once again, it's very important to have that kind of support just from some people in your life, whether it be family or friends or just people online. It's just having that support there for whatever you're doing is just really important because it keeps you going.
It is. And I feel like on that first episode, I had shared it on my personal Facebook page. So all my friends and family could see it there. And I remember thinking, okay, well, we have the ELPN audience, so we're gonna have some people tune in from that. I have my Instagram, so people will tune in from that. And then I believe like our first episode, there were about like I want to say maybe like 24 people at the is like or something around that time is when it peaked live, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I had people coming out of like that I haven't talked to in months reach out to me once it was done, being like, I'm so proud of you. Congratulations on this. This is amazing. And I'm like, you were watching? Oh no, you were watching. And
Oh
there were
man.
moments where I was like, oh, I just dropped curse bombs in front of my cousins. Okay. Well, let's see how this goes over at Thanksgiving.
Oh
But
my god.
at the same time, it was really fulfilling to know that people have my back through that. And I knew no matter what happens, even if no one ever shows up to an episode, I know looking back on it, there's people who are supporting it and people who are encouraging me to keep doing it. Because it did take a
Yeah.
lot of encouraging to do. Because posting is one thing, making YouTube videos is another thing. Doing a live show is a completely different ballpark because you are inviting guests onto a platform. And especially when you're just starting out, when it's like your first season, you are inviting them on a know nothing podcast with some random chick who's going against reality. You and you are like, I want to do this. Do you want to support? And join the show. And to get the positive reaction that I've gotten has been so fulfilling, so amazing. And I'm really lucky because I know it possibly couldn't have gone that way. There could
Yeah.
have been people who were like, I have no interest in this unless you have this number. I have no interest in this unless I'm getting paid. And to really see the positive reactions I was getting and the encouragement and the people who wanted, like, they want more. They're like, I want to come on. I want to do this. I want to do that. I'm like, it's really fulfilling. And I am
Yes.
so lucky and blessed by it.
Absolutely. The enthusiasm that people have for that is just, it like fuels you to just keep going and keep making it because it's like, oh, other people do care about this.
Hmm.
So it just, it's like just, it's the best feeling, honestly. And I definitely understand what you're saying there because like a similar thing has happened with me in TFOL Talk. Like I was also, it was in development for about a year as well, I'd say. I was just slowly putting everything together. And I was finally like, okay, I guess it's time to like start it. And the reception was really positive as well. And I've just been able to connect with so many cool people like you and all the other guests that have been on and other people that have found it because of that. And just the support that people have just like motivates you to just keep working harder and better. And it just really fuels you. And it's such a great feeling.
Hmm. Oh, and it's just amazing to just get that fuel and get that push and be like, okay, let's do this.
Absolutely. It brings people together, once again, as
Hmm.
the common theme with Lego. And it's just, it's a beautiful thing. As well as like, as well with the live show, that's, I feel like, even more of an achievement than just uploading because that's people who they can't just skip the video or like pause it. Like they're there live and they're
Hmm.
choosing to stay there live. And that is amazing.
They're choosing to stay there with us for an hour to hour and a half. And to be able to have that time, it's valuable. And it's
Yeah.
something I always want to make sure it's entertaining. I don't want them to be bored for the hour that they want to commit to it. And I'm like, and that includes the guests. I want the guests to have a good time. I want them to feel relaxed. I want them to feel like this is just a chill conversation. And that's something that, as I've been getting the feedback saying, you made me feel that way, this has been such like a nice, refreshing take, that's what's so fulfilling. It's knowing, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And the same thing can be said about TikTok. I remember Virginia. I I will admit the numbers game is a very difficult one to play. Follower counts, view counts, you love it or you hate it. It works with you, it doesn't work with you. There's so many like if ands or ors that play with that. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna be surrounded by all these people that have da 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 numbers. I am there to be their emotional support and their friend. And when I had people coming up to me being like, uh, and I'm like, oh, do you need to get to da da? And they're like, you're Jillian versus reality, right? And I'm like, yes. Hi, nice to meet you. I thought you wanted to talk to da da da. How are you doing?
Ah.
It's it's so nice to know that a community is out there and you have people who are like interested in what you're doing. That really helps push you to make more and it pushes you to want to do more.
Definitely no, and that's so amazing. Like that must feel amazing having somebody walking up to you and you thinking, "Oh, they want to talk to this other person that I'm friends with," and then it's like, no, they want to talk to you. Like they look up to you and they're excited to talk to you. Like that must be amazing.
It's it was definitely one of those pinch me moments. It was really really
Yeah,
cool. I not gonna lie, when someone asked all of us to sign a Lego set, that was pretty cool.
that
That was
is.
pretty cool.
My God, that is so just. That's just really wholesome, honestly. Like I love that
Mhm.
so much. I was gonna say, what's it? I had a kind of similar ish, not quite that, but similar ish experience when I was in we were in England recently, and I was at this. Apparently, it's the biggest Lego convention in the UK. It's called Bricktastic. I went there, and I
Mhm.
didn't really know if anybody else, like content creation wise, was going there. Turns out they were, and I met some of them, which was awesome. But
Mhm.
when I was, I'm very extroverted, so I go up to people and I'm just like, "Hi, this is cool. I want to talk to you." And I remember I was talking to some people there, and they asked me what my online username was, and I was like, "I'll do the bricks." And a couple of them were like, "That rings a bell," and I'm like, "Excuse me, what?" And they're like, "You have the
Mhm.
that like TFOL podcast, right?" And I was like, "How do you know what that is? You know who I am? What?"
Right.
Like it's just it's the weirdest thing as well because it's like I guess you have a different perception of yourself, right, compared to how
Mhm.
other people perceive you. So it's just it's crazy when you're like, oh whoa, like I'm on the internet. There's people here that know me. Like
Mhm.
it's just the wildest thing, but it's really cool.
It's amazing, and it's definitely very reassuring that you are reaching people.
Yes.
And I feel like that's everyone's like first initial fears is, am I going to reach anybody? It's like you will never know if you are. And that's why you just got to keep doing it, because chances are you are reaching somebody. And even if you don't know it, they are there. They are there enjoying it. They are there watching. And it's one of those moments of it's like, okay, let's just keep doing this because we enjoy it. But in reality, you are entertaining somebody else. And that's always great.
Exactly. Yeah, it's because it can feel like you're just putting out content into the void sometimes. Like, does anyone
Hmm.
actually care about this? Like, is anyone actually seeing this?
Oh,
And to get that reassurance, like you said, that yes, people are enjoying it, they're seeing it in person, like not just, oh, this person on the internet likes
yeah.
it, but like there's physical people that enjoy the stuff that I make. It's the most insane feeling, and it's really gratifying, like you've said, and it's awesome. And I'm glad to hear that, you've had that as well, because I think it just motivates you to keep going, and you're doing really great with all of it. So I'm glad to hear you've had that, like, I guess, validation of like, wow, I'm going somewhere with this.
Hmm. Extremely, for sure.
Okay, so you explained a little bit of what ELPN is, but can you go into it a little bit more about what the concept of ELPN is, and a bit more about your involvement, because you're one of the managers, right, of ELPN? If I'm wording
Yeah.
it manager, is that right? Are you saying the right
Uh,
word?
Kind of. We all have a manager-ish position. I don't know if the guys would agree on that, but so ELPN, Everything Lego Podcasting Network.
That's what it stands for. I was like, I don't know what it stands for.
Funny enough, there was the running joke that I kept calling it Elpin. Like I would say that in videos, I would say that on the show. I'd be like, "Yeah, Elpin," and they're like, "We're not an elephant. We're not Lepin. We are ELPN." And I'm like, "Then we need to put periods between each letter." And they were like,
Yeah.
"No," and I'm like, "Fine, then Lego is LEGO," and that started a whole argument. But initially, we are a network that houses currently two podcasts. There
Okay.
is um, mine, the Basic Brick, but then you have the OG, the start of it all, Robin Zane's podcast that was originally ELPN, but it's now Two Fakes, One Set. So you have their show, and how it started out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just hit you in it. It just hit
No,
you in
I
it.
knew before, but it just is funny. It's funny.
I mean, mine's basically the playoff of being a basic bitch.
Yeah.
That's where the Basic Brick
I love
comes
it. I
from.
love the slightly more adult theme of the two
Oh,
podcasts that are like there right
our
now. It's
favorite
great.
detail is in our podcast logos. We made them this season to look like Lego sets, and we gave our set to be 18 plus sets.
Yeah, I love that.
And that was like a touch that we had, and we it almost messed up with mine. We had originally put mine at 8 plus, and I was like,
Oh
"Does this
no.
mean I'm a kids friendly show?" And they were like, "Oh crap!" And then we were like, "Let's change that really quick." But initially, we bring guests on. Um, Robin Zane, I came on as one of their guests. I came on as their first guest for their podcast,
That's
and
awesome.
and we kind of run it with the idea of you all, whenever you come on, you are the quote unquote intern of the show. And
Oh.
during my internship, the week leading up to my episode, I was like, okay, what if we made this video? And what if we did this? And the ideas just kind of stuck. And I don't remember at what point, but I was encouraging Rob and Zane all throughout Virginia when they bonded and when they met, y'all need to do a show. Y'all need to do this. Y'all need to do something together because your dynamic is great. Your chemistry is fantastic. You guys just flow really well with each other. It works. So then I remember somehow just encouraging them throughout that. When my time came to an end and I had my show, they were like, "Do you just want to help us? Do you want to like be like no longer like intern but like assisting?" And I'm like, "Sure." And then it moved from that to becoming my official title is I'm an executive producer.
Exactly. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, I'm an EP. So I help book all of our guests. I stay in contact with them. If they have questions, I answer them. I help with social media posts. I help my favorite like thing that I do on the job is reminding Rob and Zane to run the intro. Because sometimes I feel like I love those boys to death, but if I did not tell them to run the intro, they'd be 40 minutes into their episode and then run the intro.
Oh my god.
Like an ongoing joke where now at the start of the if I'm not there one week, like I'll even hear Rob and Zane go, "Okay, let's run the intro," before Jillian texts us and yells at us. Um,
Oh man.
so I help moderate the chat, make sure everything is as clean as we want it to be going on in the chat, um, and just make sure everything runs smoothly behind the scenes. And so from there, they were like, okay, how many hats can you wear? And I was like, let's toss podcast host as another hat on like the stack of them. They're growing from fan to encourager to intern to executive producer, and now I'm a podcast host.
You're wearing all
And
the hats.
I have all the hats and I love it. And there's no talks of more shows at the moment, but we definitely have kept it open to if someone else wanted to find a way to do a show. It was just kind of when they made the idea of the show being ELPN, everything Lego Podcasting Network, as I said, it's like the umbrella of what it could be. So we were kind of looking ahead without really looking ahead.
I see, yeah. That's really cool. And I think that's a really cool idea that you guys are making like a network, because I've never heard of anybody in the Lego space doing that before. I was like, that is super original. Like, that's a really clever idea, because not everybody wants to host it on their own channel and do other stuff. Sometimes they just want to share it. And if they don't already have a following there, that can be hard to get off the ground, like we talked about before.
Mhm.
So that's a great way to get it to more people, because they come there for all the different podcasts that are happening.
Mhm. It goes, you come for one show and then you realize there's more here. So, like, let's check this out. And then you become a fan of both.
Exactly. So, is it like, is it more where you guys will reach out to people if they want to host their shows on ELPN, or is it that you're open to people asking if they can host their shows, or is it like a mixture of both? Or
We've never really had the conversation before. I think it was always up in the air because I had discussed having my own podcast. So when they made theirs, there was the idea of we liked the name of Everything Lego Podcasting Network, but then it was always kind of like slightly in the background of if I wanted to do a show. But then it also opens up if, let's say, one of our close friends is like, hey, I want to start a podcast, but I don't really know what to do. We'd be like, well, you could join under our network. We kind of already have an audience that we could push towards your show. We haven't looked forward really into it, but it's something that, like with mine, we left it kind of open. So we
I see.
never know. We never know. Like another one of our friends could want to start something, and we'd be like, if it fits with the vibe that we like, which is kind of that 18 and up, funny. Like originally, because the funny part about Rob and Zane's show is typically whenever a guest comes on, they pick a drink. Um, so,
uh,
and that's what I loved about their conversations. It's like as they drank more, the Lego conversations got more obscure.
oh,
So
that's funny.
So I kind of left that to them. I left the have a guest bring a drink on to their thing. So it's really unique. One of my good friends, Carter, he recently just made the official drink for our network, which is kind of like this electric lemonade. So now we have a drink surrounding our network.
Wow, that's cool.
As I say it, I realize how big it's become, really.
Yeah, no, that's amazing.
It's a wild journey, and it's one of those things that I'm so happy we have because we're now our little family. We get closer to our guests that we bring on. We've had a fantastic batch of different people from the community, people within our little group, people outside of our group, and it's fantastic. I really like it. Um, I commend Zane. Zane does 2 podcasts a week.
That's
He
impressive.
does stud buds. He gets that 1 day of break, and then he goes on and does Two Figs One Set with Rob. I commend Zane. I commended him the first week of my show because he went from stud buds Tuesday to the basic brick Wednesday to Two Figs One Set Thursday, and I was like,
That's im-
"That was the most podcast filled week of your life."
that
Thank
is very
you.
impressive.
I was like, "Zane, take a bow."
Exactly. Man, that is so cool though, and I like the more adult theme the ELPN, like the network
Mhm.
has. Oh well, yeah, I guess no, 2 figs one stud, but that's not it. Two
Two
figs
Figs
one
One
set,
Set.
right? Thank you. Sorry, but no, I think that's really funny, and I think it does fill a good market there, because once again, there's plenty of AFOLs, and there's that stuff's funny. Like,
Mhm.
I'm not an AFOL, but even I do find that funny myself. So like
People sometimes
it's
forget that the A is adult fans of Lego. So we
yeah.
do want to cater to maybe that bit of that after dark adult audience sort of thing.
Exactly. And that's fine as long as you make that clear. Like, there's no problem with that. And so, Is ELPN not like a playoff Leppin at all? Because I totally thought it was. No? Okay.
Not really. I think it happened on coincidence. And then when we looked at our logo, we were like, so
With
are we
like
going
the
to talk
blue.
about this? And we're like, we don't have to talk about this, but we know it's there.
Okay. I see, yeah, because I totally thought it was, because, like, for some reason, like, even though it's not super close to Leppin, like, just ELPN, like, you make the same
It's the
similar shapes with
LPN.
your mouth.
It's literally,
Yeah,
forget the E, it's
LPN.
LPN.
It is, and then like the blue kind of Lego style logo, I was like, oh,
Hmm.
so it's like making fun of Leppin, right? uh, that's funny. And I could have sworn I heard Zane say somewhere that it had something to do with Leppin, but he
It
was
could
probably
have,
making fun of that.
it really could have at one point. Like the origins of the show, I one day hope they're hieroglyphed on a wall, and we really confuse the next wave of people, and they're like, what is this ELPN? Although, if they somehow say Elpin, I will cheer from beyond the grave.
You know what? You could do at one of the conventions. You could go up to people and say, "How do you pronounce this? Like, how would you say
Oh my
this?"
gosh,
And
no,
do the video
that's
like
already a
that. You
plan.
should
It's a
totally do
plan.
that. That would be
Mom's gonna
amazing.
kill me for it, but it's a plan.
All right, awesome. So you were a TFOL then, right? Because you
Mhm.
never had a dark age, I'm assuming.
I did not.
You
I
didn't.
did not have a dark age where I just stopped building. I was always building. I just never really made it public until more recently, in like the past, like, I want to say 3, 4 years.
Okay, I see. So I'm wondering, did what was it like being a TFOL for you? Did you face any like judgment from other people because
Oh
of
yeah.
it or anything of that sort? Yeah.
Oh yeah, going through middle school and high school being a fan of Lego was definitely, you learned when to bring it out and when not to. And this is not me saying hide it in any way, shape, or form. This is just me saying with the demographic I was with, it was definitely risky to bring it out because they were very easily like, let's just find another silly thing to make fun of. And for me, it's like I cherished it so much, I did not want it to get to that. So being a TFOL was really something I would just casually do. I was very much so like, I'm not like, I'm a TFOL, this is my brand, this is me, this is da da da. It was like, yes, I'm a fan of Lego who is a teen, I'm a TFOL, but it was never like, I'm in lugs, I'm in mock building. I was just building Lego. But I feel like the real, like, and you can be like any sort of TFOL or AFOL. You could be just building sets and being a fan of Lego. That's what the FOL is. That's what the FOL stands for. It's fan of Lego. So you don't really have to be generically a mock builder to become an AFOL or to become a TFOL. You don't have to be. You don't have to be an avid collector. You could just be someone who's a fan of Lego. So I would consider my teen years and like my early teen years, the preteen, um, my teen years into my adulthood. It's always been a fan of Lego. So of course that fell under TFOL, AFOL, and yeah,
Yeah,
it
I see.
was yeah. Like what about like for you? Like how, I'm assuming, did you have a dark period?
I didn't have necessarily like a dark age. I had what I've coined. I haven't heard anyone else call it this, so I'm taking credit until
Hmm.
I find something predating it. But I call it a dim age, where it wasn't like I wasn't into Lego, but it just wasn't really like the primary thing in my life, or it wasn't a huge part of it. Like I still had my sets on display. I still like kind of kept up with the Ninjago to a degree, but there was just so many other things happening in my life that I was kind of, I guess, sidetracked by it. So I was always still a fan, but I was just way more casually into it than I was beforehand or, now,
Hmm.
basically. And that didn't last that long, if I'm being honest. Maybe like a year and a half to like 2 years ish. But I've never had a dark age myself, thankfully.
And I feel like a lot of people could relate to that, where like they do have those periods where it kind of just wasn't the top priority. It
Yeah.
wasn't like the first thing on their mind. And I feel like I said, like a lot of people could connect to that a lot more easier than being just like the, and now that's not to say that to be an AFOL or a TFOL has to be hardcore,
No.
everything about Lego in no way, shape, or form. But I do feel like some people are like, oh, what is this dark age? What is this? And it's like a dim age. I like that phrase. I really
Thanks.
like that. I like that phrase you've coined of like, it's a period where it just was not the top priority. And it wasn't like at the top of your like interests or lists like that. It was like something that was so, it was so casual that you were able to enjoy it without it being like bam priority.
Yeah. Exactly. No, it's an interesting state, and once again, like you said, you don't have to. It doesn't. you don't have to have your entire room covered in Lego to be an AFOL or
Hmm.
TFOL, but like I think I think it also dim age kind of like depends on the person. So because there are just casual Lego fans out there who do still keep up with stuff, but they're not as like dedicated super fans, but they're if you ask them, they're like, yeah, I'm a fan of Lego, and like they enjoy collecting it, and maybe they watch Ninjago sometimes, or they keep up with Lego Star Wars, or whatever it is. They're still fans. They're just not necessarily super hardcore fans, and it's kind of interesting because I feel like maybe dim age fills the gap between fan and not fan. It's like, yeah, I enjoy it, but it's just once again, it's not the priority, or it's not one of the main big things I think about. It's more
Hmm.
of just like a side thing for them.
It's not like one of your principles.
Yeah, exactly. They don't wake up in the morning and think, ah, this is release day for new sets.
Hmm.
So you basically you said you learned to kind of like learned when to bring out the Lego and when to not. So
Hmm.
was that because like you'd gotten bullied at one point and then you were like, okay, let me like not like you learned that from that, or was it kind of just like after just not necessarily proper bullying, but I guess just some kind of teasing or something of the sort, you decided that?
Yeah, like I learned like kind of like what sort of struck with different like groups. Like I learned, okay, so when it comes to different groups, I would say I learned what was sort of a hit with some groups and what wasn't. I learned that I could talk about like certain TV shows with certain groups and certain books with certain groups that I couldn't talk about with others. So when I learned that like Lego wasn't necessarily like a hit when it came to a conversation with some people, that's when I pulled it back. And that's what
I
I kind of
see.
mean by like I learned when to bring out the Lego and when I learned when not to. I knew it was a great way for me to be able to talk to my younger cousins. I then learned it was probably not the best thing to talk about with people on my soccer team because they weren't that interested in it. And I couldn't have had as fulfilling of a conversation as I could with, say, somebody else who was more of a fan. Like, I had my friend group who were more into the like nerdy sort of stuff, comics, stuff like that. And that was easy to talk about Lego with them, easy to talk about the Ninjago with them. But there were other groups where I felt like, okay, this is not going to bring out a conversation that could include everybody. And I'm always one for being able to include as many people as I can. So I never wanted to either exclude people or sort of center it around just one thing around me.
I see. That's
Hmm.
really interesting. You kind of you learned, I guess, the territory, right? You knew
Yeah, I learned
which groups to
dictators.
share with, which groups not to. That's really interesting. Also, I really respect the thing you just said about being one for including people and like not wanting to leave people out,
Hmm.
because that's a really big thing for people, I think. Like a lot of people don't think about that a lot, and I think that's lovely that you consciously think about that.
And that's one thing I love about like certain Lego groups. And don't get me wrong, there are the few out there that are kind of cliquish. And like I
Yeah.
hate that word clique. I've hated it
Me
ever
too.
since high school. I despise the word. But there are the groups that have those tendencies. But then you do have a lot of lug groups that are very much so not cliquish whatsoever. It's just a giant user group. And that's what I felt like I had the connection with was just how much you're able to include so many people and you're able to bring as many people as you can into the process. And there's never like a cap. There's never a only this many people are allowed. Like I would say that yeah, like you will have your closer communities within those, but it's not like you can't join us. It's not like the thing
Yeah.
where you can't sit with us. It definitely is some groups you just have to vibe well with more people than others. Um,
Yeah. You got to read the room as well, right? It's like, yeah.
it definitely is reading the room. And it's definitely hard in the Lego community, and I don't want to solely focus around this, but it is a bit difficult when you are a girl in the Lego community because you have your options. You could either A, be solo, which is never fun, which some people like, some people it's not for them. You could B, put yourself out there and try to go join more male dominated groups, but then you also risk rejection. You risk a little bit of backlash from that. You have the option to go make a solely female group. But then that's sort of, in my opinion, while I love the group of Lego ladies that I am a part of, and I have this little friend group that we click so well together, I do like to be able to open things up on, like, I do like to, majority of the time, I like when things are open up to be for everybody. I like when you're able to have them mesh well with each other. And I feel like that's really hard to take from certain lug groups because you see certain lugs. they're solely male dominated, that have never had a woman in them before. And it's nerve wracking to either want to join or you just sit there knowing there's no way that that'll ever happen. Because
Yeah.
you're worried either A, you know you have to live up to these expectations of where some people out there do think Lego is a male meant for the male audience.
Yep.
You have that group, but then you do find those groups, you find more than the other group, you find the amount of people that are very much inclusive to everybody. A prime example that I love giving for this was at Virginia. I had a friend, Noah. He introduced me to this amazing group of guys, and I sort of like remembered them saying that they were like a Lego group, and I was like, oh, that's super cool. Just from talking with them for a few hours, sharing a few drinks, we all became good friends. And the next day, I remember going up to their booth, like talking with them, continuing our conversations from the previous night, and they were like, do you want to join the Salty Bros? And I'm like, okay, let's piece this together now. Salty Bros. Bros generally dominated by a male. Wait, you're asking me to join? And they're like, you mock build, you have a good personality, you mesh well with us. Would you like to join? Yes or no? And I was like, yes, I love you guys are amazing. You guys are like my friends. I love hanging out with you guys. I love talking to you guys. And boom, within 5 seconds, I was added to a Discord group.
Oh
Um,
my god.
So you do have the groups that are like that. And it's just, I feel like that's one thing. And now I am the first girl in the group. Um, and it is interesting because you really have to look at that with not like, okay, there's just, and the one thing I do like about the group is I am in the group as a member of the group. I'm not just, oh yes, Jillian, the girl of the Salty Bros.
You're not
The
the girl.
salty sisters. So that's sort of the name that I gave it, the salty sister. Um, I am not just that. I am a member of the group. We all do calls together. We talk about group builds, collab builds. So there is that good group. And you do have that. You just have to be willing to either be open if you lead a group, if you lead a lug, you have to be open to being able to open up and be inclusive, or you have to like if you're not one, you have to maybe take the chance and take the risk and be like, hey, can I join?
Yeah, no, definitely. That is so amazing to me. Like, I love that so much because one thing that I have despised ever since I was a little kid is that
Mhm.
stupid gender separation bullshit. Like, I hate that with my entire being. You have no idea. I kid you not. 99% of my friends are girls, and they have always been. So,
Mhm.
like, I've faced that kind of thing before, and I hate it. So that's so amazing to me to hear that, those guys, they invited you to the Salty Bros, and they just accepted you like that. They looked at you for who you are rather than just saying she's a girl. It doesn't matter who she is, because that's what a lot of people do. They look at someone and look at their gender first, then who they are. Where I feel like it should be, yeah, their gender is a part of who they are, but like look at who the person is.
It's
And
really like,
that's
look
what
at
you
your
should make the
bill.
decision
Yeah.
on. Yeah, exactly, right? It's like, once again, it's like the numbers thing as well. You shouldn't look at someone's numbers, you should look at who they are.
Hmm.
It's so I love that so much that they were so accepting about that, and that's so beautiful. Like, I love that so much.
I feel like for me personally, when I went into this idea of Jillian versus reality is going to be a platform, it's going to be whether it's Instagram, TikTok, possibly starting up YouTube, the podcast. I wanted to go into this and not treat it like a numbers game because
Yeah.
I've seen so many people treat things based on a follower count. And I hate that so much. I hate that you could miss the opportunity to make an amazing friend because that person does not have a certain amount of followers.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's something that happens whether you know it or you don't. It's finding the people that don't look at that. And that's the really special thing. I would never discredit somebody for not having a certain amount of followers. I would never discredit someone if they just didn't have a platform in general. If, like, let's say I had a friend from our lug who had no platform and they wanted to come on the podcast, heck yeah. I would say if I vibed well with them and we had a good friendship and a good, like, understanding, I would love to have them on. It's just,
Exactly.
I would never, I just know sometimes when you look at a show like a podcast, You want someone who can, you want their audience and you want your audience and you want to possibly help boost each other's audience. So that always is that's kind of like the more like algorithmic practice towards it. But I really see it as far as making friends, you don't need to look at numbers. And that's
Definitely
something
not.
that's so common nowadays is people look at your number count. And whether it's like influencers or whether it's just that in general, you people really need to start thinking and being like, okay, it's not this. You don't need to look at numbers. You don't need to have a certain amount to be a good friend or to want that
Yeah.
person as your friend. That's the thing. And it's something that like gatekeeping, it needs work, but every day we're taking strides.
Absolutely. No, that's so true what you said. Like those are really wise words there that it's about the people, right? Like, about who someone is. You shouldn't let other things, I guess, cloud your vision with that. And like that's one of the big things I think is that I don't think people should want to be friends with somebody only, I guess in the content creation space more, only because of their numbers or status, right?
Mhm.
And I guess that can apply to other things in life. Like that shouldn't be the driving force. The driving force should be I like this person. I would like to be friends with this person because of who they are, not
Mhm.
because of, oh, this person has X amount of followers or is super popular in this world I'm in or whatever. Like that shouldn't be the main force, because like that can lead to, I guess, shallow relationships kind of, because you're not there for who the person is.
You're there
That's
for the
not,
follower count.
you're there for the follower count.
And it's something that I know going into it, it's something that I think it's very easy to cloud people's judgment. It's something that you may not know you're doing, but it is something that I do think needs to be made more aware of. Because yes, I understand in order to be a part of certain groups or something like that, you may need to have a certain amount. You may need to at least have an audience. But
Yeah.
as far as it goes making friends, you don't need followers to make friends. That's
definitely
what I say.
Definitely not, exactly. And like, what you said, I really liked what you said about like, you bringing on like a friend, even if like they don't have, if they're like not doing content generally, but like you think it would be fun to have them. Like the first episode of TFOL Talk, I had like my oldest Lego friend Dylan on. He doesn't do content online, despite how much I tell him he should. He doesn't do it. But I was like, he's one of my oldest friends. Why wouldn't I have him on the first episode? Like,
Mhm.
it's kind of that thing, and that creates the most genuine connections, I guess, and real friends, like you were talking about,
Oh yeah.
Definitely. It is really amazing. And it's just, yeah, I guess the integrity thing, right? It's like, once again, who someone is, not their follower count or their status, is the real
Exactly.
key there. Viewer submitted questions. We got a question by Circuit Speeder who asks, favorite Transformer? Because you are a Transformers fan, right?
Major Transformer fan. I will say I'm gonna flip this. I lean more towards Decepticons, and it is
A Shockwave.
Shockwave.
That is such a good one, though. Like, respect for that. Shockwave is such. The villains are always cooler, honestly. Like,
Yeah, I love
they
them.
just. They are. Okay, that's cool. Shockwave is a great one. Real quick, so, like, on the rapid fire round, what do you think of the Optimus Prime set? And also, do you think we're going to get more Transformer sets? And
I
if not, just what would you like to see generally from Transformer
Okay.
sets?
So as far as Transformer and Lego goes, putting that Hasbro logo on a Lego box was one of the most interesting things I've ever seen because that's
Yeah.
two toy brands coming together that are normally butting heads. Um, what do I think about the Optimus Prime set? The Prime set itself, I thought it was a fantastic build. I loved that some of the print parts were printed. I felt like maybe they could have gone with making them all printed parts.
Yeah.
I love that it can transform. I will wholeheartedly admit I struggled with it at first, because I'm used to the force of those Hasbro toys, and I kept forgetting this is delicate Lego.
Yeah.
My good dear friend Dominic was on a call with me when I was building it, and he was getting stressed out over how badly I was doing with this.
uh,
Love you, bud. I'm sorry for that awful night where he was constantly like, Jill, what are you doing? And I'm like, it just won't transform. Um, do I believe we'll be getting more sets in the future? I do not, because I think it is so
no.
hard to bring that no weapons or no gun implement into Lego. I think if we were to get anything, we would get Brickheads, and it would be a double set of Optimus and Bumblebee because they
Like
cannot
the mock
do
you made, right?
much like my mocks, you could not do Megatron because he literally transforms into a gun.
True. So, okay, I have heard that argument, but I personally disagree with that argument actually because I think there are a lot of Transformers that don't turn into that stuff because once again, creative liberties are always taken and Lego loves to bend their rules for
Hmm.
whatever works for them. Avatar being one of them, literally the military. Anyways,
Hmm.
so one, I mean, Megatron could just turn into like a futuristic-y tank. Something like that could also work. They could bend it a bit, and things like I think the perfect one to make is Soundwave. Dude turns into a cassette tape.
I would,
Perfect.
I would, if they were to do that, and that's something I brought up. I feel like if they were to do another build or another set, the size of Optimus, their best bet would be to go with Soundwave.
Yeah, absolutely. Now it would be amazing to see more sets because I'm a casual Transformers fan. So like I used to be more into it before, and it was just so amazing seeing that set. Like once again, like you, I couldn't actually believe it. I was like Hasbro, Lego, what? But I do see a reasoning for not getting more sets as well. I hope we do because I think Optimus did pretty well. But
Mhm.
we shall see. We shall
We
see.
shall see.
Do you have any like funny work stories from working at Atlanta Brick Co? Anything that you can talk about, whether that be behind the scenes stuff, customer experiences, or anything else?
Oh my goodness. I could write a book on my tales from my time at Atlanta Brick Co. Of oh gosh, what can I put out there that I like? Because of course you have those moments that I want to keep to myself, and
Of
those moments
course,
of like there's those special little moments. So I feel like once you tell them online, you kind of lose a bit of like your own personal value to them.
totally
Um,
fair.
let's see some funny moments. The weekend store owner Ed is unlike anybody you'll ever meet. He's worn so many hats in the work field, and he's overall the most fantastic weekend manager I could ever ask for. He leads to so many funny antics, and I feel like people constantly think that we're fighting with each other, but we're not. Like he'll walk by me and like we have these bins that we put pick or brick in, and he'll toss a bin and it'll like casually hit me, and I'll make the biggest exaggerated deal over it. And in reality, we're just messing with each other. So the camaraderie is great. Another one with Ed is I got invited on to their podcast that they have at Atlanta Brick Co TV on their YouTube, Between the Studs. It was a Star Wars themed episode.
Ooh,
And as one of our very big prominent Star Wars people of the company, they asked me on. They were like, "Could you wear a costume on?" And I was like, "I can throw a Jedi together." Chris was going to be Darth Maul. Ed kind of felt left out because Justin at the same time, he had an outfit. Ed was like, "I want an outfit. I want to wear something." And Ed loves, and I'm doing air quotes right now, loves Jar Jar Binks. Um,
ooh,
so I was like, Ed, don't worry, I got you. And I think I heard about this around 9 o'clock, 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and I'd go record the podcast the next morning. Within that time, I made it to Walmart, got a bunch of felt and fabric, and made Ed this little Jar Jar Binks cap with these
oh my
long
god.
ears, and it was pink because that was like it was the only similar color they had to Jar Jar at the time.
Oh
Um,
no.
it was like this pink knit little Jar Jar cap, and he wore it the entirety of the episode. And when I walked in, and Ed was like, "What am I wearing?" I just presented this little Jar Jar cap, and I was like, "Ta-da!" Within like
That
a 4 hour time span and over a night, here you go. And there's a great moment from the podcast of me just being like, Ed being like, "What am I gonna wear?" And then it switches to a clip with him with the hat. So
that that is beautiful. Like what an amazing move there.
I was like, "Don't worry, Ed, I got you."
That's the honestly, I love that. That's just like that's so funny. I love it like when you can have fun like just messing with friends like that. Like it's all playful, but it's just like I know you just love this character so much, so I'm gonna spend
Make
as
you a
long as I can in this little time just make you a Jar Jar hat. Like that God, that's amazing. I love that. I feel like somebody should make Brad like a suit of Nexo Knight's armor.
Oh my gosh. I have so many ideas for like both Brad and Mark just as castle guys. I have so many ideas.
Right, because Mark hates Nexo Knights too. I
Mhm.
forgot about that. So if Lego was gonna start focusing on teens more, like how they have with this whole Adults Welcome campaign, what do you think they could do for TFOLs?
What they could do for TFOLs specifically is start maybe targeting. And it's really hard because you do have that borderline with pop culture and how there are very much things that teens can be interested in that adults are fully interested in. Whether that's Marvel, DC, anime, manga, video games, stuff like that. How I really think Lego can start catering to teens is, hmm, you really got to think about that one because it really, like I was saying, it's a very thin border of where everything can kind of be for everyone. I do feel like bringing more introductory to harder Technic because I feel like they really gauge those harder Technic sets and those modulars to sometimes be more so catered towards adults. And with those build, because some of the build techniques are more difficult. So to find
Mm-hmm.
ways to ease those build techniques into more casual sets, so that way if you are a teen going into Lego, you may be new into it, you don't get thrown crazy complex difficulties. And that one's kind of a two-sided situation because you do have your kids who are able to build those incredible Technic
Oh yeah.
sets. I see it all the time. But it's really just finding ways that you can tie them both together. Um, and it's really maybe just talking a bit more about what topics Lego wants to cover. If they want to cover more, I guess the more high school niche sort of things, maybe think about sets that relate a bit towards like the not exactly your an older demographic, but the demographic of, that 16, 15, 14. But I feel like they have done a good job with that when it comes to um, whether it's Ninjago, Monkey Kid, Star Wars. It's finding that pop culture and the way that pop culture can really blend in with teens. And
Definitely.
like I feel like it all kind of mushes in a way the same together. It's just really that statement of what is that borderline between TFOL and AFOL? Is it really
Yeah.
just a number? And I can very much so see it that way. I can very much so see that border really just being the moment when you leave, when the word teen is no longer in your age. Um,
Agreed.
I feel like that because like sometimes when you think AFOL, it's like okay, 18 and up. But you got to think you still have the word teen in there for 18
Exactly.
and 19. So does that mean you are an AFOL when you're 20? Like,
Yeah.
but in the same time, you got to think some parts of the world, and once you reach the age of 18, you are considered a legal adult. So really, what is that border? Is it a number? Is it a maturity level? And I think that can really be broken down to the TFOL themselves when they're ready to, I guess, when that TFOL is ready to make the jump to being an AFOL.
I see. That's a really cool perspective, and I don't think I've heard something like that before. I really like that. I mean, I guess that is difficult, like you said, because it like depends on each person. But if they could somehow find a way to figure that out, that would be really good. And I totally agree with what you said about like pop culture stuff and kind of like focusing on that. That's super important. And I mean, even though I'm not a gamer, I constantly say they need to do more video game sets because those are popular. And I'm really fascinated by that, like finding the transition point for each person. That's such
Hmm.
a cool, I guess, view on it. All right, that's awesome. No, I agree with that. That's definitely a hard thing to nail, but if it can be done, that would like be amazing because I guess making a maybe like a theme that is very like all encompassing. So people who
Hmm.
because everybody goes into it at different stages. So finding one that can kind of bring that whole demographic there of just teen together. So basically, like no matter where you transition into an adult, you still feel like you can enjoy it, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
So finally, now this this is a common theme for the podcast where you have already dropped some amazing, like incredible advice throughout this entire show. But regardless, as the closing question, do you have any advice for TFOLs?
Ooh, do I have any advice for TFOLs? Oh gosh. I could very well so take this on a funny route, or I could take this on a very serious route. So I'm going to
You can do
combine them
both.
both and say the quick 4 to 5 tips from Jillian versus reality.
All
One,
right.
sometimes save your boxes. There are some sets you don't need to save your boxes for. There are some sets you do need to save your boxes for. So sometimes save your boxes. Number two, remember, you need to do your homework at some point. Find a way to build Lego in between your homework. You will figure the rest of that part out. It ain't on me. 3, find your community now and know that it will change. You will gain people, you will lose people. It's all about continuing to surround yourself by the people to surround yourself by people who love what you love and to always encourage each other to keep going after that. Number 4, learn how to hide Lego receipts. You could become really good at it. Your
Oh
parents don't
man.
always have to know what you're buying from the Lego store. You can sneak some Pab cups in every now and then. It ain't a problem. And number 5, just keep building. Just continue to keep learning. Continue to be open to learn. Continue to keep shooting for bigger and better builds. You are always doing the best you can do. And above all else, you want to make yourself proud. Never forget, you have to continue to enjoy this. Always do it for you.
That was absolutely fantastic. I love that. I have to say, I mean, like, I've already commented on how amazing like the deep advice is, but I have two things about the not deep ones. One, most of the things I hear here for the advice, like one of the things is be what's it, clever with your spending. However, you were like, hide the spending, hide. I love that. That's amazing.
You can.
I agree
The
with
amount
that.
of times my mom was like, "So what are your receipts for the week?" And I'm like, "Yeah, here you go, here you go." Da 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 da. She's like, "What's this one? Nothing." And it's like, I
That
don't know.
that's
But no,
amazing.
that's I always like to sprinkle in a little bit of humor. But no, in all
That's
seriousness,
great.
just prioritize that Lego will always be there. It will
Yeah.
always be there.
That's fantastic. There's always a multiverse out there, Lego Multiverse for you to
Mhm,
explore, as the theme
mhm.
of this episode. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Jillian. It was a blast having you. And before we end this episode, do you have any social media or other things like that that you'd like to plug?
Yes, you can follow me at Jillian versus reality. In between each one of those words, there's a little bit of an underscore. So Jillian underscore versus underscore reality on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Uh, I also have my podcast on the ELPN network, which is The Basic Brick, which airs every Wednesday.
All right. Fantastic. Well, thank you all so much for watching. It means the world, and I hope you enjoyed. Links to the things and people we talked about will be in the description as always. New episodes now release once every 2 weeks on Tuesdays for TFOL Talk Tuesday, and you can find updates, announcements, and more regarding the podcast over on my Twitter or Instagram, both of which are at Doodlebricks. Anyways, that's all for now, and we'll see you all later.